What's going on, Sky Squad? So I'm on the road, okay? Just got on the road, got up, left my parents' house, got some gas, got on the road, stopped and got some good old Bojangles. I don't know if you guys can see it here. And I was thinking to myself, this topic has just been sitting with me, and I had to jump on the line and talk about it today. Now, we're going to get into Love and Marriage Huntsville. I'll be late with all that. You know, just give me a minute. I watched Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. We're going to get into that, but just give me a minute. I'm going to put out some videos on those. But, you know, I got to get back home first. But as I was on my way, I said, let me stop and just dissect a couple of things, okay? Now, first things first, shout out to Fallon and Jalen. They welcomed the baby girl, I believe. Baby girl, yeah. And, you know, congratulations to them. Happily ever after. They got their baby girl born healthy, which is amazing. So congratulations to them. But y'all know I was doing that math, okay? I was doing that. I was doing that math, and I was counting backwards from November. I said November, October, September, August, July, June, okay? May, April, March. Now, again, my hand's so ashy, y'all. Anyway, but that ain't the point. I was doing that math and I was like, well, now, I mean, I had to ask myself, was Simon correct? But anyway, the bottom line is this. I don't know if the baby was born as a preemie or what, and that ain't really my business. At the end of the day, they had got a beautiful baby girl, and so we just gonna be happy about that. But y'all know I was mathing that math. But anyway, that ain't really what I wanted to talk to y'all about. What I really wanted to talk to y'all about was this story that I saw on the Jasmine brand. I got my laptop here because I'm sitting over here about to eat, okay? And it says, according to the Jasmine brand, Sheree's boyfriend sent a cease and desist to Bravo, okay? You don't have my permission to use my name and likeness, okay? Now, the reports say he's upset with the Bravo, okay? And is allegedly taking legal action against the network. Now, reportedly, his legal team sent the network a cease and desist letter, okay? Claiming that they have been using his name and likeness without his permission. And according to this, he has not been on camera to date, but the show has discussed him on multiple times, and he's been part of a storyline, okay? Now, he believes that Bravo has been profiting off of him without permission, and he's threatening legal action and wants the network to remove all traces of him from the Real Housewives of Atlanta footage and social media posts. Now, really, this came about when I believe the Variety article came out about Sheree Whitfield, or it could have been before that. I don't know. It doesn't really matter to me at this point. What does matter is the issue that I feel like I have that's been burning a hole in my pocket. And the issue that I have is more or less with the story producers at the Bravo and the marketing squad, okay? The marketing squad, not to be confused with the shot squad. And the reason why I say this is because y'all gotta forgive me, I'm looking rough. And this is just, I mean, you know, it is what it is. I'm just gonna film this video because it was on my spirits. It was on my spirits. But my thought was, one of the things that I feel like, you know, Bravo probably made a big misstep with was promoting what the storylines would be. Potentially, right? So here's the thing. You know, this was probably the first time in Real Housewives history where we got a preview of the new cast before season really kind of got good into filming, right? And I understand it is because, one, you are missing a big chunk of your cast and you are missing out on a huge story, i.e. you are missing out on Cynthia Bailey, which, you know, I mean, Cynthia Bailey, while she may not have had a lot of, I mean, there may not have been a lot of her to really get into on Atlanta. There's a lot to get into with her in the mix of the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. Cynthia is put to good use there. And she's genuinely a part of the drama and a part of the action in a way that I was not expecting. And we'll talk about that when we talk about Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. But you're also missing Porsha. And side note, the irony of, it's just ironic. You got Fallon giving birth. You got Porsha's spinoff. All happening on the same weekend. I just thought about that. Anyway, you got Porsha's storyline, which is huge. I mean, it's huge. And Atlanta will be missing that on the show. And you know she would have been the center of the controversy. So you're missing those two elements. And I understand you got to get the people hyped for something because we're not going to get Atlanta for a while. So what better way to do that than to release the cast? Okay, I understand it. But I do think it could have been a bit premature in the way that they went about it. And it kind of goes back to this whole Tyrone situation, but we'll touch on that shortly. Personally, what I would have done if I was in the marketing department, and y'all know in my mind, I'd be thinking I'm a producer, okay? I do. You know, a lot of people have aspirations of, you know, hosting and stuff like that. I really want to be behind the scenes because I just feel like sometimes they don't be doing the right things. And I could tell them from a fan perspective, and then B, from a person who has worked in entertainment and worked in reality TV in front of the camera. I feel like, I mean, some of this stuff feels like, I mean, even if you ain't been on reality TV before, I feel like we could tell the producers and the network what y'all should be doing because we pay attention to the show. And for me, I feel like what they should have done in that announcement was simply said, you know, Candy and Kenya will be returning and we're going to follow their stories as they continue to navigate life, you know, and that would have been it, right? Drew will listen, if they wanted to talk about Drew returning, but you know, I get it. But I also would have just said, and for the first time in Housewives history, we will have Marlo Hampton getting a peach. And I would have focused solely on the four of them, okay? And the reason, and I felt like because Marlo getting a peach is huge enough, right? And it sort of begs the question, you know, and it leaves the audience sort of like, ooh, well, what is that going to be like? You know, what will we get from her? You know, what is it going to be like now that she's full time? What will these four women, you know, bring to the show this season? And if by any stretch of the imagination, you had to include Sheree in that presentation, I would have just left it at Sheree will be making her triumphant return to the Real Housewives of Atlanta for season 14. Watch what happens. Because in reading that book, Not All Diamonds and Rose, I mean, that was really kind of the through line for, you know, a lot of those Bravo shows back in the day was watch what happens, okay? And I feel like if the network stayed on message with that, it would have been enough to pique our interest. Never in our, I just feel like when you start to sort of throw out what the story is going to be, then you lose some of that element of surprise that comes along with good reality TV. Because good reality TV just sort of happens, right? It just kind of veers off the rails. I think it was Love and Marriage Huntsville, and I think it was the interview that I did with Carlos where he said, you know, when we set out to do Love and Marriage Huntsville, it was really kind of like an HGTV type situation mixed with like love and marriage, right? And how does this group navigate, you know, this industry, and how do they make it a success, right? Interwoven with their personal stories. It just so happened that Melody and Martell had just come off of this whole situation of infidelity, and they were moving forward. It was not a thing that it was going to be discovered that he was still allegedly involved with said young lady. So I just kind of feel like that's the magic of reality TV. And when you try to predict the magic, it's no longer magic. And so now you find yourself in a situation where you have teased a potential storyline for a potential cast member or a new full-time cast member, and you've stated that this is what we're going to chronicle, or you've alluded to it, or whatever the case may be. And instead of doing that, again, you simply say, we welcome Sheree back, you know, and we're going to see where her life has picked up at from there. And that way the ladies don't have so much pressure to perform and bring a certain thing that may or may not happen. And now you're in a situation where this guy is potentially like, hey, you know, I'm finishing out my time, you know, in the home situation, you know, so I can't be connected with some brewing story that makes it appear as though I'm moving about in these streets, because that could jeopardize what he's got going on. If you just want to follow what Sheree is doing, I think that is better, because yes, every season, what happens is production will sit the ladies down in pre-production and say, what do you have going on? And a lot of the ladies will, you know, take the time and effort to plan and prepare events and that sort of thing that they may have coming up in the season. And I think that there's nothing wrong if you want to have because you need to have that preparation. But and so that's where the story producer comes in, and they say, okay, how do I then connect what's going on in this woman's life or this character's life or this man's life? And how do I connect that? And how do I find the through line that is going to be the narrative arc that plays out on the screen? But how do I also leave enough room for whatever may happen in this person's life to actually happen? Because that may veer me down a different road, right? I think even for me, when I did Stripped on Bravo, I think there may have been a preconceived notion of who I was going to be and what my story was going to be. I cannot say that for certain, but that's the general sense that I got. But I found in my mind, I think that they were surprised because of the direction that my story took. Because if I'm not one type of person, you can't paint me to be one type of person, because I'm only going to be me. And so then they worked with it, and they said, wow, this is completely different. Again, that's my general sense. And so you have to allow that. And when you don't allow that magic to happen, I feel like that's when you just start to, it feels like, oh, well, Sheree's storyline is this, you know, Candy's storyline will be that. And versus having these storylines, just follow the story. Okay. And then you never really have to worry about, and obviously there could be times when, you know, production just says, listen, ain't nothing going on. Ain't nothing exciting going on. So then obviously you use your lightning rods like Kenya Moore and your Marlo Hampton that will hopefully, you know, spread a little bit of gossip. You know what I'm saying? And have a little, you know, and then the ladies need to have a little ponderosa. And you have to keep the ladies filming together in their group scenes in order for these shows to work these days. That's it. Keep the ladies filming their group scenes, and you will never have a problem with Housewives. And that is the reason for the success of the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. Now, the other thing that I would say to them is this: stop ordering 18 episode orders. Stop it. You know, if you don't order so many episodes, then you don't have to pay these women that much. Okay, so they may have a high level per episode amount, but if you only getting 12 episodes, I mean, I can do a whole lot more. I could bring in more star power. You know what I'm saying? And so again, I do feel like, you know, and then also too, you don't have to worry about stretching out a season for so many episodes that just creates filler. And I get it. You may these advertising dollars may be looking real good, but if the story ain't there, Don't try to fake it, okay? And it goes back to what I was saying about, the Sheree thing. And I don't know what the case actually is in terms of, what they were planning to do. All I know is what we've seen put out there in the news. And for me, I just kind of feel like, stop handing out or sending out an expectation of what we are going to see. Don't ever do that again. Please don't ever do that again. Just simply tell us if you want to give us the cast. The first of all, ooh, that Jeep is nice. Anyway, first of all, the news in and of itself is news enough. The cast, even if you had said, and we have, Olympic medalist or whatever like that, Sonya Richards-Ross joining the cast. You don't even have to say in what capacity. You can simply say, listen, this is who it's going to be. Don't try to tell us what we're going to see. Don't do none of that, right? Nothing. And I wouldn't even lock into telling who else was going to be joining besides if you wanted to say Sheree. But you just don't know who's going to pop on camera. Who's going to pop within the group. Because ultimately, when you read, like if I was reading Not All Diamonds and Rose, and they were talking about how they brought in Cynthia and Phaedra, at the same time. One was supposed to be a friend. One was supposed to be a full-time cast member. And they were just like, we don't know who it's going to be. But at the end of the day, both of them had so much personal story. I mean, you couldn't make one of them women a friend. The other example is when Claudia Jordan and Demetria McKinney were on the same season. Demetria was supposed to be the full-time housewife, but what happened was the Roger Bob, her husband at the time, I'm assuming they're still married, but he didn't want to film that much. So behind the scenes, according to the book, even after Nene and Claudia got into that thing in Puerto Rico, Nene went and told producers, y'all got the wrong girl. Y'all got Demetria, but it needs to be Claudia. So then what they had to do, and for Nene to say that even after Claudia, went in on her the way that she did, they went in on each other, really. But that's, Nene understands the game. You know what I'm saying? Understood, okay, this girl, she might have done her reading of me too, but if she can hang with me, she's good to go on this show, right? So they know in Atlanta, unlike some other cities, what's going to make a good show. And, at the end of the day, Claudia ended up getting the peach. And then they had to go back in and reshoot all these things and, not reshoot, but like add more content. And even Andy admitted that the way they handled that was clumsy. But, at the end of the day, I feel like we didn't know that at the time. There was no pressure. All we knew was maybe that Claudia might be filming, but we didn't know what capacity. And there, next thing you know, she wins the peach and Demetria does not. So, I just think that there's something to be said for, let's leave some of that stuff behind the scenes. And I understand stuff will still filter out, but let it filter out. Sometimes I feel like the network could also feed the media a little bit of this and a little bit of that after it happens, just to continue to pique interest. You know what I'm saying? Don't make anything official, because I think when you start to make it official, that's where we have an issue that we're having with Sheree and with Tyrone and this whole storyline. And I don't like it. You know what I mean? I don't think you need to do that. And we care about Atlanta. Atlanta has for so long been the flagship Housewives franchise, and we want to get it back to where it belongs. And I just feel like we got to make some tweaks to how things are being managed with the show. And I think that we could get back on the right track. But anyway, I know I went on longer than I planned to. I was planning to talk for like 10 minutes, but here we are. Anyway, that's all I got for this video. I just had to stop. I literally had to stop what I was doing. I can't eat my food because I was like, this is just bothering me for some reason. Anyway, y'all, make sure y'all subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell button, and I will catch y'all in the next video.